pressure doesn't create panic. Your interpretation of pressure creates panic. Two fighters can face the exact same situation, getting backed into the corner, eating a clean shot, seeing a much bigger opponent walk them down, and one guy's nervous system reads it as, "I'm in danger," while the other reads it as, "This is just the next problem to solve." Same stimulus, completely different output. That gap isn't talent, it's trained. And that's what we're breaking down today, how to walk through pressure without cracking. Let's start with why pressure breaks people in the first place, because most guys get this backwards. You think pressure is the punches, the crowd, the bigger opponent, the stakes of the match? It's not. Pressure is what happens in your body when your brain decides the situation is bigger than your ability to handle it. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing goes shallow and high in the chest, your vision tunnels, your fine motor skills disappear, and you start swinging wild or freezing up. This is just your nervous system doing exactly what it's designed to do when it perceives threat. The mistake people make is thinking the goal is to eliminate that response. You can't. Your body is always going to react to danger. That's not weakness, that's biology. The goal is to change what your body perceives as dangerous in the first place, and to build a system for functioning even when the alarm bells are going off. Guys who crack under pressure aren't cowards. They just never trained their threshold. They never practiced staying organized while their body was screaming at them to panic. That's a skill gap, not a character flaw, and skill gaps close with the right repetitions. Here's the mechanic you need to understand. Pressure cracks you through your breathing first, and everything falls apart from there. When you get hit clean, or you get taken down, or you're getting walked down by someone stronger, the first thing that goes is your exhale. You start holding your breath or breathing in short, shallow gasps up in your chest. That spikes your heart rate even further, which floods you with adrenaline, which degrades your decision-making and your technique. So before you fix anything tactical, you fix your breath. If you're in a striking exchange and you feel that jolt of "oh no" hit your chest, your very next move, before your next punch, before your next step, is a long exhale through the mouth, not a gasp in, a push out. This single move is what separates a guy who spirals from a guy who resets in real time. In training, you build this by attaching your breath to bad moments on purpose. Get your coach to have a partner tee off on the pads right next to your ear, or push you off balance suddenly, and your only job is to catch a full exhale within 1 second of the disruption. You're teaching your body that chaos is the cue to breathe out, not the cue to freeze. Once your breath is under control, the next piece is what I call narrowing the picture. Under pressure, your brain wants to process everything at once: the score, the crowd, the danger. The bigger picture of "am I losing?" And that flood of information is what causes the freeze. What elite competitors do instead is shrink their attention down to the smallest next action. Not "I need to win this fight." Just check hands up, chin down, next exchange. If you're getting pressured against the fence or the ropes, your task isn't survive the round. Your task is frame here. Angle out in this direction right now. One task. Executed clean, then the next one. This is why experienced fighters look calm, even when they're getting hurt. They're not thinking about the whole storm. They're thinking about the next single raindrop. If you're the type of person whose mind races to worst-case scenarios the moment things go wrong, this is the antidote. You give your brain one small, physical, achievable job, so it has no bandwidth left to spiral. Now let's talk about how you actually apply this live, because knowing the theory doesn't help you if you haven't rehearsed the application. Say you're in sparring or competition, and you eat a shot you didn't see coming. Your first instinct is going to be to either panic and swing wildly to save face, or shell up and stop working entirely. Both are you handing control to your opponent. Instead, your very first move is the exhale, immediately, even mid-exchange. Second move, you re-establish structure. Hands up, chin tucked, feet under you, before you try to be offensive again. Third move, you take one calm, deliberate action. A jab, a clinch, a step-off angle, anything that's yours and not reactive. That 3-step sequence, breathe, structure, act, is your circuit breaker. Takes maybe 2 seconds, but those 2 seconds are the difference between compounding one bad moment into a disaster and containing it. If your opponent is the aggressor and walking you down behind heavy pressure, you don't match their panic with your own panic. You slow your own tempo down on purpose, even exaggerate it slightly in your own head, because a fighter moving with calm intention inside chaos disrupts the aggressor's rhythm. Aggressive pressure fighters are often relying on your fear to keep the pace frantic. When you refuse to speed up internally, you take away the exact thing they're feeding on. If you're the smaller or less experienced fighter in that exchange, your job isn't to match power, it's to out-organize them. Tighter guard, shorter, more efficient movements, breathing that stays steady, while theirs stays ragged from throwing everything at you. This also applies outside the literal exchange, in the moments between rounds, in the corner, in the walkout before you compete. A lot of guys crack before the fight even starts because they let their imagination run the pressure simulation for them, picturing getting hurt or embarrassed, and their body starts reacting to a fight that hasn't happened yet. You counter that the same way and narrow the picture. Not I have to beat this guy, but I execute my first combination clean. Give your nervous system a small job to lock onto instead of an enormous outcome to fear. Now, how you actually build this into your training so it's there when you need it, and not just a nice idea you heard in a video. You have to train under manufactured pressure on purpose, consistently, not just hope it shows up naturally on fight night. Add fatigue before technical drilling, spar or grind for 2 minutes, then immediately drill precise technique while your heart rate is still elevated, because that teaches your body to access skill while stressed, instead of only when calm. Use positional sparring where you start in bad spots on purpose, back against the cage, guard past, getting outstruck on the scorecard in your head, because rehearsing the recovery is what builds the calm, not rehearsing dominance. Get a training partner or coach to introduce controlled chaos, sudden pad blitzes, unexpected takedowns, verbal pressure, anything that spikes your heart rate unpredictably, and drill your breathe structure act sequence inside that chaos until it's automatic. Do this weekly, not once. The nervous system adapts to what it repeatedly survives. If it has repeatedly survived controlled pressure in the gym and come out organized on the other side, it will trust that same process when the pressure is real and the stakes are higher. Pair this with your regular technical and conditioning work rather than treating it as separate. Every hard sparring round, every gassed-out drilling set, every uncomfortable position is an opportunity to rehearse composure, not just an opportunity to rehearse technique. Over months, this compounds. The fighters you watch who look unshakable under pressure aren't wired differently than you at birth. They've simply spent hundreds of reps teaching their body that pressure is not the same thing as danger. That recalibration is available to you too, and it starts with the very next hard moment you choose to breathe through instead of panic through. Train it like a skill because it is one, and it will hold up exactly as much as you've rehearsed it.